You are watching the WD Broadcasting Network, your home for racing highlights, iRacing broadcast, commentary, and more. But here comes Jeremiah Woods. He wants to win in the Street Stock Showdown. He's hungry to get up to the front. If you are a fan of short track racing, the WD Broadcasting Network is your home for racing content in real life and on the sim. Follow the WD Broadcasting Network on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to hit that red subscribe button on YouTube to never miss an upload. Top spot away, Terzak once again into the back bumper. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WD Broadcasting Network. Tonight we are once again with the Trackmaster Sim Series back at the Langley Speedway for the third race of their season, the defending champions race. So we'll go 128 laps because the 28 of Carter Hollingsworth was our champion last season. Right now, practice just about finished up, over 25 cars on the property here tonight. I do believe we'll be starting 22 when it comes to the A main later on. Kyle Terzak in the 15, who currently at this moment holds the points lead by 32 points over Adam Fulford. Terzak quick here once again tonight. He has won the first two races of the season. We'll see if he can go 3 in a row. That's the 15 who's currently, or the 015 who's currently top of the board. Second quick, your defending champion, Carter Hollingsworth, just 6/1000ths off of the 15. We'll have to see what both of those two drivers can do in qualifying. We've seen qualifying and track position be important all season long. We will have heat races here tonight to kind of shake things up with the starting lineup after qualifying. But plenty of late models on hand here this evening. Going to go 128 laps on a feature later tonight. They do not get an extra set of tires. That's what I was curious about. 128 laps on one set. That's going to be a pretty big ask from the setup. You're going to have to make the car drive good for all 128, which isn't an easy task. We've seen the drivers start to struggle towards the ends of these races the first 2 weeks. And it's now qualifying time, it looks like. So drivers will have their best 2 laps. 2 laps to get their best time, I should say. We won't have anybody transferred directly into the feature from qualifying, but this will set the lineup for the heat races. So we'll see who can go to the top spot. Your fast qualifier does get an extra bonus point. So everybody trying to get that bonus point. Week 1 it was Dakota Walls. Week 2 it was Kyle Terzak. We'll see if Terzak can repeat that here tonight. I don't see Walls in the field. Brandon Elvis, his first time, a 15.113. That's the lap to beat so far. Hudson Geiger in the 36. Coming to the green. Thought about taking the green there, but ended up resetting that race car. Did not like the feeling in that first lap. Here comes Brandon Atkinson in the 15. Atkinson up to the 4th spot. And Atkinson going to go to the 5th spot. Michael Weissman top of the board, 15.078. One of the faster laps we've seen tonight. Good lap from the 74. We'll see what he's got in the heat race. Another driver on track, making his first start with us this season. A 2-time Trackmaster Sim Series winner. This is Brian Gravel. Gravel has won twice in 3 starts. He'll qualify in the 4th spot as of right now. Still a couple drivers left to go. Carter Hollingsworth, your defending champion. Second quick, lap number 1. See what he can do. His second lap around 3 and 4. Checkered flag. And Carter Hollingsworth going to keep that first lap time. It looks like 0.94. We'll see what Kyle Terzak can do. Your fast qualifier last week out of 4 across the stripe. And Terzak, second quick, a 15.087. Braden Donaldson in the 94 jumps up to the 8th spot. Very close top 10 in qualifying. Under a 10th back to the 10th position. Second lap for Donaldson. And he will slow it down just a little bit, so he'll keep that first lap time. The number 48, he scored as the number 1, but that's William Sapala in the 48, trying to get his qualifying laps in. He's got about a minute left to do so. We'll see if he can get those 2 laps in, and we'll get to heat race action. Down into turn number 3, drives it right down to the bottom. And out of 4, sideways across the line. I think he may have tagged the wall there. So that will do it for both of his laps. William Sapala not going to get a lap in qualifying. So Michael Weissman will be your fast qualifier. 3 races, 3 different drivers. Taking that extra bonus point for quick time. As we will prepare for tonight's 125 lap race. Once again, we'll look at the Langley Speedway. Temperatures here tonight a little bit colder than anything we've seen this season, I think. 69 degrees on track and in the air. That might change things. May have to adjust your setup to drive with these different track conditions. But let's meet our starting lineup in heat race number 1. I think we're going to have 2 heats here tonight. So heat race 1. Your starting lineup on the pole, it's going to be your fast qualifier, Michael Weissman. 2 is outside. The Coastal Performance 28, that's Carter Hollingsworth. Row number 2 on the bottom, that'll be Brandon Elvis rolling off alongside Peyton Craig in the 30. 78 of Aaron Johnson going to start from the 5th spot next to Brandon Atkinson in the 15. Driver second in points right now, Adam Fulford, going to start from the 7th spot alongside his teammate Chris Smith in the number 80. Landon Farmer in the 026 going to start from the 9th position, and rounding out your top 10 starters in heat number 1, that is Zach Murphy. And rounding out the field, Hudson Geiger in the 36 next to Tim Dayton in the 84 and Kevin Alvarez in the 084. Starts from the 13th spot, shotgun on the field. Field is set there on the grid. We will go green next time by. Eight laps the distance in tonight's heat races. So not a lot of time if you're one of the drivers. We're going to be taking the top 7 from the heat races straight to tonight's 128 lap A main. Michael Weissman and Carter Hollingsworth now going to roll off from the starting grid. Brandon Elvis in the 70 in the 3rd spot. Different colors on that machine this week. Hopefully it brings him some good luck. In 2 races this season, Brandon Elvis' best finish, 8th place. And he is the all-time winningest driver here in the Trackmaster Sim Series. So looking for a good run here tonight. We'll see if he can pick up a position or 2 and improve his starting spot for tonight's A main. We'll go for 8 laps in heat race number 1. Weissman and Hollingsworth, your top 2. Pace car is off. Into the restart zone they go. And for the first time tonight, we are racing here at Langley. Down through the first set of corners. Carter Hollingsworth on the outside lane pulls ahead. And, oh, a little contact with Michael Weissman. Weissman in the 74 slides down to the inside. And the yellow flag is going to fly. Weissman in the 74 got sideways there. I think Hollingsworth was just trying to keep him tucked down to the bottom. And let's watch that one more time. See if we can get a better idea of what happened. Let's watch the green again and go back a little bit further here. Here's the drone camera. And you can see the 28 aggressively turned down, and I just don't think Michael Weissman was expecting it. Held on to the race car. He will drive back up. We'll see how that is called. Caution laps do count here in the heat races, it looks like. And Weissman in the 74 dropping back to the rear. So it looks like we will not have any complete restart or anything like that. Weissman going to have to restart from the 13th position. And it's 4 laps to go. They'll come back to 3 laps to go as caution laps do count here in the heats. Hollingsworth going to roll off next to Brandon Elvis and Peyton Craig. Craig in the 3rd spot next to Aaron Johnson in the 78. Both 78s in row number 2. We'll see which one gets the better finish here as we go back green with 3 laps to go. Good launch from Carter Hollingsworth. Brandon Elvis in the 70 machine tries to get down in front of Peyton Craig for the second spot, and around goes Brandon Elvis in the number 70. The 70 of Elvis, a rare slip-up off of turn number 2. Looked like just got a little bit too high up and was trying to keep that car tucked back down. Chris Smith in the number 80. Stopped down there in turn number 4. Didn't quite see what happened there. And I actually don't think caution laps are counting, so we'll have to ignore the 5 laps to go. Let's look at what happened on that restart. Elvis in the 70 on the outside. I don't think there's contact there, but watch on the exit. This gets a little bit too much, gets loose right there, and then does go around on the entrance of turn number 3, and then more cars behind him ended up wrecking after the fact. Chris Smith in the 80 ended up beached. Look at the rear tires, could not drive that car. And he was beached completely, had to reset. And it looks like we will probably see him in the last chance qualifier a little bit later on. And the lights drop on the iRacing.com pace car. We are going to send them back green, this time by Hollingsworth. Your leader, Craig, too, is outside. Into the restart zone they go. And we're back underway. Good launch from Hollingsworth in the 28. Peyton Craig able to get right back down in front of Hollingsworth. Aaron Johnson down into the 3rd spot with Brandon Atkinson back behind him. Zach Murphy into the 6th spot behind Adam Fulford. How about Hudson Geiger? He started deeper in this field, trying to work his way forward into a transfer spot. Gets around Landon Farmer. Farmer is loose up off of the corner. And now here comes Michael Weissman in the 74, and Weissman around in turn number 1. Caution flag flies in heat number 1. 3rd caution flag in the first heat race of the night. Weissman in the 74, I think, looked to the inside underneath Tim Dayton. Let's get this one more time. 74 looks to the bottom, and I think just drove in a little bit too hot, made contact there, and as soon as the contact was made, all the weight made the car go right around. And Weissman going to have to restart at the rear once again. So Carter Hollingsworth, your leader in heat race number 1. Peyton Craig 2nd, Aaron Johnson 3rd, Brandon Atkinson runs 4th. Brandon Atkinson runs in the 4th spot. Adam Fulford rounds out your top 5, coming back to the green. They'll double up right here, and it looks like we will go back to the green flag this time. A quick yellow there. We'll try and get them back green and back racing. In heat race number 1, Hollingsworth through turns 1 and 2. Aaron Johnson tried to get to the inside of Peyton Craig, but Craig able to clear for that 2nd spot. And back behind him, Hudson Geiger in the 36 goes around. And yellow flag back out. Farmer and Geiger tangled up in turn number 4. Did not see what caused it. I just saw the 36 go spinning. And that puts us under yellow for a 4th time in heat race number 1. Watch this down into the corner. Looked like Hudson Geiger just drove down onto the apron underneath Zach Murphy. Slid up, and then as soon as it was kind of similar to what we saw Weissman do, similar, just contact and then spin. Usually you see the door check result in the car going up the racetrack. Fortunately, seems to be punishing the inside car here tonight for overstepping a little bit. Hudson Geiger in the 36 going to go to the tail after that one. And your race leader, Carter Hollingsworth, he's getting his restart practice in. That is a good thing. And he will have another shot at it right here. Green flag is back out, and Hollingsworth up into the wall. Aaron Johnson going to go through to the race lead. Looked like he and Peyton Craig made contact. Johnson takes the lead. Atkinson to the 2nd spot. Murphy to 3rd. Adam Fulford to his outside. This time by, white flag is out. Final time around. And Brandon Atkinson into the back bumper of Aaron Johnson, and they all pile in down the back straightaway. Somehow, Carter Hollingsworth in the 28 manages to spin again. Peyton Craig gets involved, and Brandon Atkinson is your heat race number 1 winner. My goodness. All that for a heat race. And Landon Farmer brings it across the line in reverse. Your winner after all that was Brandon Atkinson. Let's try to watch that back one more time if we could. And it looks like we're not going to be able to. Well, we'll have to look at that when we come back from a commercial break, but heat race number 2, hopefully we can have a little bit better of a performance from this group. Looking at our starting lineup on the pole, it's the 015, that's Kyle Terzak. To his outside, it'll be the 145 of Chase Swank. Starting in the 3rd place spot, making his first start this season, 2-time winner, that's Brian Grable in the 22. And to his outside, the 94, that's Braden Donaldson. Jacob Phillips in the 56, going to roll off from the 3rd spot with Alex Halinar. To his outside in the 57. Row number 4, a couple of regulars with the Trackmaster Sim Series. On the inside, it's the number 14 of Justin Coleman rolling off 7th. And to his right side door, that'll be the 19 of Chris Shepard. Row 5 to the inside, Larson Parker going to start 9th. And starting in the 10th spot, it'll be the 071 of Tom Dean. And rounding out our starting field in heat number 2, Mike Fudge in the number 2, Dylan Delaney in the number 88, and William Sapala in the number 48. So these drivers going to be released for 8 laps of heat racing action. As we learned, caution laps do not count in the heats here tonight. And the field this time going to get the green flag. It'll be Kyle Terzak and Chase Swank, your front row. trying to get the best starting spot they can in tonight's 128 lapper. Pace car makes the hard left turn down onto pit road and through the restart zone they go. We're back racing. Heat race number 2 is green. 8 laps the distance. Through the first set of corners, Terzak takes the lead. Brian Grable going to get to the inside of Chase Swank for the second spot. Grable now into P2. Leader of lap number 1 going to be Kyle Terzak. And Braden Donaldson gets by Chase Swank for third. Justin Coleman in the 14, trying to work his way forward. He's in the 6th spot right now, which does transfer him through, but he's trying to look for some insurance as Chris Shepard gets to the inside of Alex Hallinar. Shepard into the 8th position, one more spot, and he is into tonight's A feature. Through 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. Kyle Terzak is your race leader. We're halfway in, halfway home in heat race number 2. And Braden Donaldson gets by Brian Grable for the second spot. Grable looked like was maybe a little out of shape in turn number 4. Donaldson was able to get by this time by 2 to go for Kyle Terzak in heat race number 1. Or heat race number 2, I should say. And white flag is out. Final time around, a lot more of a tame heat race this second heat race. Thankfully, we had 4 cautions in heat number 1, made up for all the cautions we could have ever wanted in heat 2. And through turns 3 and 4, Kyle Terzak, your winner in the 15. Second spot goes to Braden Donaldson, third to Brian Grable, fourth to Chase Swank, and fifth to Jacob Phillips. So it'll now be time for the last chance qualifier. I do believe we will be taking the top 8, making a 22-car starting field. And let's meet our starting lineup for the last chance qualifier. Once again, top 8 going to the show. Tim Dayton going to roll off on the pole in the number 84. Chris Shepard in the 19 going to start to his outside. Starting in the 3rd spot in the 54, or the 70 rather, that's going to be Brandon Elvis. And to his outside, that's the number 071 of Tom Dean. Kevin Alvarez in the 084 going to roll off from the 5th position, and he will have William Sapala in the number 1 rolling off 6th to his outside. Row 4 on the inside, that's Landon Farmer in the 026, and starting 8th, that's the 57 of Alex Hallinar. Aaron Johnson, after coming to the white flag as the heat race number 1 leader, going to roll off 9th in the last chance qualifier. He'll have Dylan Delaney in the 88 starting to his outside. And rounding out our starting lineup, on the inside, it's Chris Smith in the number 80 and Mike Fudge in the number 2. 12 cars going to go for 8 spots in this last chance qualifier. Field will get the 1 to go signal. Tim Dayton and Chris Shepard, your top 2. Dayton in the 84, going to bring this field to the green. Dayton finished 17th last week in the feature. We'll see if he can punch his ticket into the show as the green flag is out, and we are racing in the last chance qualifier. A couple drivers thought about 3 wide early, thought better of it though, as through the first set of corners, Tim Dayton is your leader. A couple cars down the back straightaway though, make contact into the outside wall. That's Kevin Alvarez in the 084, and immediately back under caution. Alvarez in the 084. I think they were 3 wide down the backstretch in the 084 machine. Spun to the outside wall and made contact. Watch it again from the drone. This is the start. That's the one of William Sapala to his outside. Looked like Dean went up the racetrack and kind of forced all of them to avoid, and then the one tagged, or the 48 I should say, tagged Alvarez in the 084, and around he went to the outside lane. He will continue on. It looks like down pit road and putting tires on that machine. So it looks like the lineup is set. Lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car. It will be pretty much a complete restart up at the front. Tim Dayton is your leader. Chris Shepard is second. Brandon Elvis is third. And Tom Dean is fourth in the 071. We go through turns 3 and 4. Green flag is back out, and we're back underway in the last chance race. Through the first set of corners, Tim Dayton gets the advantage. Chris Shepard in the 19 back to the 4th spot. Leader of the first green flag lap, that's going to be Tim Dayton. Your top 3 break away. Shepard back to 4th. Alex Hallinar runs in the 5th spot. Dylan Delaney in the number 8 gets by Tom Dean. He's going to try to bring Chris Smith with him as well. And Landon Farmer going to get by Tom Dean. That is for the final transfer position. So give Farmer that final transfer spot. Is back behind Aaron Johnson battling with Mike Fudge in the number 2. And there's contact there. Johnson in the 78 goes around, and caution flag flies. You saw those two battling for the final spot on the lead lap. And I think Fudge just got in a little bit too hot down into 1. They fought over real estate, and around went Johnson. Fudge went around as well. Let's see what happened one more time. Yeah, right around he goes. See if we can go on board with Mike Fudge for that. There's contact there. You can see the two just trying to keep that car down to the bottom lane. Entered, I think, at a little bit different angle than Johnson expected. And those two came together. And that puts us under caution again in the last chance qualifier. Once again, top 8 make it to the show. As we go through turns 3 and 4, pace car is back off. Brandon Elvis going to be your leader now, and through the restart zone. Great launch from the 70. And we're back underway. Tim Dayton in the 84 trying to hold on to the 2nd spot. William Sapala in the 48 to his outside, 10 laps to go. 10 to go for the 70 of Elvis. Tim Dayton gets into the second spot now. Here comes Alex Hallinar in the 57. And around goes Chris Shepard. Shepard and Tom Dean come to a stop on the exit of turn number 4. And let's see what happened. I didn't catch what happened. I just saw the 19 start going around out of 4. There's a 71 of Dean right there. Looked like just a bumper from the back. 71 of Dean, I don't think did it with any intention there. Just tapped the 19 of Shepard and around went Chris Shepard. So back under yellow once again. I think Dean ended up taking blame there for that one. So Shepard going to be back up to the 5th spot. Aaron Johnson in the 78. He runs 9th, right outside of a transfer position. And he's on that inside lane. Keep an eye on the 78 as we go back to the restart zone. Pace car back off one more time. Green flag flies once again with 9 laps to go. 9 to go. Good restart once again for Elvis. Sapala in the 48 gets to the 2nd spot. Tim Dayton in the 84 back to 3rd, a little bit loose with Chris Shepard to his outside. Shepard in the 19 trying to close some ground. Delaney and Alex Hallinar side by side with 6 laps to go, or 7 laps to go, sorry. Six to go that time. Landon Farmer underneath Chris Smith. That's for the final transfer spot. Smith in the 80. Thought about the crossover move there, but did not quite have enough to the inside. Elvis leads. Sapala not too far behind. Now here comes Alex Hallinar underneath Dylan Delaney in the number 8. 4 laps to go at the line. 4 to go. Delaney back to the 5th spot. Or the 6th spot, rather. Hallinar up to the 5th spot. 3 laps to go this time. Chris Smith gets back by Aaron Johnson. Moves Smith back up into the final transfer position. And the laps are running out. 2 laps to go when they come back around this time. Brandon Elvis with William Sapala right on his tail. 2 to go in the last chance qualifier. Chris Shepard in the 19. Up to that outside lane. He could be at risk here. Final lap here in the last chance qualifier. One more time around. Chris Smith in the 80 machine looking for some insurance down into the final corner. But through turns 3 and 4, winner of the last chance qualifier. Give it to Brandon Elvis with William Sapala right on his tail. And for that final transfer spot, Tom Dean looked to the inside, but Chris Shepard just barely able to hold on. So that will wrap up all of your pre-race. These drivers going to have a quick warm-up. We're going to take a quick step away to get ready for tonight's 128 lap feature race at the Langley Speedway. We'll come back in just one moment with our starting lineup and countdown to green.
Horsepower happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Mark News is back. Michigan Area Racing Connection News keeps fans in the tri-state area up to date on national headlines, local results, regional news, and so much more. Home of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, 500 Sprintcast, Gridline Social, Job Bank, Fastlane Images, KG Media, and so much more. MarkNews.org is the one stop for any race fan who needs to know what's going on in the Michigan area. Plus, get the Mark News weekly newsletter sent right to your inbox, FREE free. Sign up today and learn more at marknews.org. marknews.org, the Michigan Area Racing Connection.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the WD Broadcasting Network, getting ready to send this field green for 128 laps. We'll see who will take the victory if Kyle Terzak can make it a clean sweep of 3 in a row. And we will find out. Let's look at our starting lineup. And I've just confirmed the invert. It will be a 6. We'll put Brian Gravel on the pole in the number 22. He will have Peyton Craig to his outside. In the third spot, it's going to be Braden Donaldson in the 94, with Adam Fulford in the fourth spot to his outside. Rolling off from the fifth position, your winner the first 2 weeks of the season, that's going to be Kyle Terzak. And then Brandon Atkinson, who was initially supposed to start on pole after the invert, will roll off from the 6th position. Now your fast qualifier, Michael Weissman, going to roll off from the 7th spot with Chase Swank in the 145, starting in the 8th position outside row number 4. Rest of the field looks normal back through here. Hudson Geiger going to start in the 9th spot in the 36. He'll have Jacob Phillips to his outside in the number 56. Your defending champion in his race, 28, going to start from the 11th spot. That's Carter Hollingsworth. His teammate here tonight in the 14, starting 12th, that is Justin Coleman. Back behind him, Zach Murphy in the 29. Going to start next to Larson Parker in the number 18. Then Brandon Elvis in the 54 and William Sapala going to make up row number 8. All of these your last chance qualifier transfers. Tim Dayton and Alex Hallinar, row 9. Row 10, Dylan Delaney and Landon Farmer. Row 11, Chris Smith and Chris Shepard. And row 12, rounding out our starting lineup, Tom Dean and Aaron Johnson. The field is ready to roll behind the iRacing.com pace car. We'll give them the 1 to go signal this time, I do believe. Brian Grable and Peyton Craig, your front row. I think we are ready to go racing. The pace car will make the hard left turn down onto pit road, and it's in the hands of Brian Grable and Peyton Craig. The green flag flies, and we are underway here at Langley. Brian Grable leads the field down the back straightaway for the first time, and into turn number 3. Grable gets down to the bottom. Peyton Craig on that outside lane gets passed by Braden Donaldson, and through the first lap, we are underway at Langley. 128 laps the distance, 126 remain, as we will come back around to complete lap number 2. Your top 9 going to be single file once Carter Hollingsworth can get around Chase Swank. Hollingsworth on the inside lane did not have the heat race run that he wanted, and have to work his way from deep in this field. A little bit further back, a couple other drivers that did not have the start to the night that they wanted. Brandon Elvis in the number 70, currently 13th, trying to work his way forward. But up front, it is Brian Grable, your race leader. Comes around to lap number 5. Grable in the 22. Has about a car length advantage over Braden Donaldson. Peyton Craig runs in the 3rd spot, but he's got Kyle Terzak putting some pressure on. Terzak in the 15 gets to the inside of Peyton Craig. I think Craig gonna let him by right there. Don go way high, and Craig, I think, just tried to fill that gap back behind him. That's what you have to do, because if you would have fought him, eventually Adam Fulford would have been able to get right to his back bumper and maybe take that spot away. It's a little bit further back. Here comes Carter Hollingsworth to the inside of Hudson Geiger. Geiger on the top in the 36. Trying to hold Hollingsworth down there, but Hollingsworth kind of moved up the track a little bit there. Now Chase Swank going to put him 3 wide. A little bumper tag, and Hollingsworth hard up into the outside wall. Him and Geiger come to a stop. And heavy damage for your defending champion. Hollingsworth in the 28. Along with Hudson Geiger, went up into the outside wall. Let's see what happened here. You saw the 28 kind of go up the racetrack on the exit of 2, and then Chase Swank looked to the inside, dove it down underneath there, and then they made contact. And then I think just a weird version of contact right there. The 28 and the 36 got hooked up into the outside wall. Let's look at that one more time. Go to our friends in the drone camera once again. This is through 1 and 2. You see the 28 go up the track. And there's contact there, and then watch this contact here, just hooks the 28 of Hollingsworth right up to the wall. You can see the damage there. Hudson Geiger with some damage as well. So a 2-car incident in turn number 4 brings us to a slow for the first time in tonight's 128 lap A main. Brian Grable holds the race lead. Braden Donaldson runs second. Kyle Terzak is up to the 3rd spot. We'll have to see how quickly Terzak can get around Braden Donaldson on this start. Maybe Donaldson can get a good restart on the top lane. And race with Brian Grable. We'll have to see as the lights drop. We're going back green this time. Grable, Donaldson, Terzak, and Craig. Those are your front four. We'll bring them back racing. Hollingsworth and Geiger still continuing on after that one. Caution flag is over, green flag is back out, and we are back racing. Great launch for your race leader, Brian Grable. And they battle for second. Back behind him is Peyton Craig in the 78. Gets tagged. Now they're 4 wide down the back straightaway. I think everybody somehow saved it, but everybody trying to get things figured out as Jacob Phillips in the 56 out of shape up off of 4, lost several positions there. Up front, things settle down. Your front 6 or so, all single file, but back behind, things got chaotic in a hurry on that restart. A 7-car breakaway up at the front. Here's Aaron Johnson getting around Chris Shepard. Chris Smith looks to the inside of Chris Shepard. This happening outside of the top 15. Carter Hollingsworth, who we just saw involved in that incident with Hudson Geiger, runs in the 16th spot. Up in front, Chase Swank to the inside of Larson Parker. Parker trying to hold Swank tight, and Coleman in the 14 gets tagged. He was sideways in turn number 3. Caution flag does not fly, will stay green. Good save by everybody. But Coleman loses some ground back to 21st. That happened just behind this battle, which we were just watching. That's Chase Swank on the bottom, Larson Parker on the top. And this has allowed Alex Halinar in the 57 to get away just a little bit. And it's allowed Michael Weissman in the 74, Peyton Craig in the 78, both of those drivers to pull closer to Chase Swank in the 45. Mike makes a little bit of contact with Larson Parker there through turns 3 and 4. More contact now. Michael Weissman in the 74 enters the conversation, and he moves to the inside of Larson Parker. Peyton Craig in the 78 wanted to get to the inside of Chase Swank, but Peyton Craig not able to do so. Swank able to shut the door, and now he gets back underneath Larson Parker, move Weissman up to the 9th spot, and he will try to leave this group in his mirror. Oh, and there's a tag from Larson Parker. Chase Swank kind of half spun up the racetrack, and that will bring out the caution flag. We saw that kind of developing for a couple laps, and finally all things went amiss down into 3 and 4. This is down into the corner, and big tap from Larson Parker to the back bumper of Chase Swank. You could see Swank was able to get that car back going pretty quickly. But obviously not going to be pleased with the way that that one turned out. Brian Grable up front lost the race lead after that initial start as we were watching all of that chaos in the back. Let's watch that pass right here. Here's the 15 getting to Brian Grable. See him just cut underneath and then able to drive it off into 3. But after all that, Braden Donaldson ends up with the race lead, so that 94 machine has some speed here tonight. green flag, getting ready to come back out. Donaldson and Turzak through the restart zone, and we're back racing. 100 laps to go here at Langley. Turzak right down into that second spot. Now Adam Fulford and Brian Grable going to battle for third. Brandon Atkinson gets up in front of Zach Murphy. Murphy down in front of Elvis, able to get down in line. And now battle for the top spot. Kyle Turzak and Braden Donaldson racing for the lead. Turzak looks to the inside, but Donaldson able to keep that gap shut. Now meanwhile, the 48 of Sapala to the inside of Peyton Craig. Sapala down low, Craig up top. Craig not able to make that high side work, as now here comes Chase Swank in the 45. Swank to the inside, Aaron Johnson, the other number 78, going to try to be the next driver to take advantage. And you can see right there with Peyton Craig's experience, once you get up on that outside lane, it is nearly impossible to get back down to the bottom. As he finally does right there. We'll look back up front. Braden Donaldson continues to hold that race lead, but Kyle Turzak is working to try and get around him. So far, Donaldson able to hold that bottom lane shut, but now Turzak drives underneath through turns 1 and 2, but Donaldson has too good of drive up off the corner. Turzak can't quite do it just yet. A big bump right there through turn number 3, letting him know he's there. Through turns 1 and 2, Turzak's right there on the back bumper. Braden Donaldson doing everything he can to try and hold him off. Right now, Donaldson doing a good job just keeping that bottom lane shut. Goes down below the apron that time to try and block off the run. Turzak now pretty much on the apron, both ends of the racetrack. And there goes the 94 of Donaldson. And Turzak up into the outside wall. Big time hit. Both drivers. And the caution flag flies. You could see Turzak was trying to get around Donaldson, and eventually there was the bump. And let's watch that back one more time. This is Turzak, the corner before. And down into 1, just looks like Turzak got a little bit better of a run. I think maybe bobbled on the bottom. Right up into the left rear of Donaldson. And Grable had nowhere to go in the 22. You can see Justin Coleman also spun around. There was another driver that spun to the infield. I did not see who that was. I think it may have been Michael Weissman. There's that contact. Adam Fulford went for a slide. Michael Weissman. Brandon Elvis as well. Chaos. This is on board with Kyle Turzak. Yeah, just up into the back bumper, and not a whole lot he could do. You could hear he was out of the gas, but at that point, there's not much you really can do. Donaldson down pit road, Grable down pit road. That's going to hand the race lead over to Brandon Atkinson. We get the 1 to go signal. Atkinson and Murphy, your front row. Through the restart zone they go. back underway with 42 laps in. They're thinking about 3 wide. Back behind him, that's Chris Smith. Underneath, Peyton Craig. Craig going to be kind of boxed in there on that outside lane. And now look at Brandon Elvis in the 70 machine. Started 15th in this one. Underneath, Zach Murphy gets up to the 3rd spot. Does he have anything left? As now William Sapala to the inside of Zach Murphy gets a little loose up off of 4. Murphy going to be able to hang on to the 4th spot. Peyton Craig and Chris Smith still battling for the 6th position. Craig ran Chris Smith just a little bit up the racetrack right there, able to get that spot finally. Smith back to the 7th position. Now back behind, here comes Larson Parker getting around Alex Hallinar. He and Michael Weissman trying to work their way back forward. There's still quite a ways to go, still over 80 laps left in this one. Atkinson holds the race lead over Chase Swank and Brandon Elvis. Field single file at this moment. Pretty much everybody riding in line at this time. Not ready to make any aggressive moves just yet. Brandon Elvis kind of waiting in that 3rd spot. Doesn't want to make a move too aggressively around Chase Swank because a caution flag could come out. Make him have to start on the top. This time by 50 laps in. 78 laps to go. 78 laps left here in this one. Brandon Atkinson, currently your race leader, leads by about 9/10 of a second over Brandon Elvis. Well, it was Brandon Elvis. Chase Swank moves to the inside now. Swank gets up to the 2nd spot. Brandon Elvis keeping him close. As now Peyton Craig has caught William Sapala in the number 1 machine. Your field out of turn number 4. That's kind of how spread out they're getting. Not close to lap traffic just yet. But 54 laps into this one, the longest green flag we've seen in a minute. Brandon Atkinson, currently your race leader. Peyton Craig up to the top 5 in the number 78. And caution flag flies. Caution flag on the racetrack. Tim Dayton in the 84 sitting the wrong way in turn number 4. Let's see what happened to the 84 machine. I think he was battling near the 14th spot with Justin Coleman. There's Coleman on the outside. Looked like down into the corner. I think made more contact with Coleman down the straightaway and then spun to the inside. Nobody else got collected. Let's watch this again. Using a lot of the drone camera here tonight. It tells the story well. Yeah, contact door to door right there, and then the 84 just can't hang on to it. The 56 of Jacob Phillips has to check up, barely catches a little contact. That puts us under caution for the 4th time here tonight. 57 laps in of our 128 lapper. Carter Hollingsworth down pit road in the 28. Hollingsworth likely going to try to get some of that damage repaired on the right front of that race car. And he will get back out in front of the pace car, so he will stay on the lead lap. Brandon Atkinson holds the race lead, and he will take the inside lane. Lights off on the iRacing.com pace car. We'll try it again here. Under caution for the fourth time, getting ready to restart. Atkinson and Swank, your top two. Keep an eye on the 70 of Elvis in the third spot. As the green flag comes back out, and we are back racing. Good launch from Brandon Atkinson in the 15. Good launch from Brandon Elvis. He jumps right back up to the second spot. Here comes Peyton Craig trying to take third from Chase Swank. Swank in the 45 did not get a good launch on the top side, and already at risk of losing the third spot to Peyton Craig, as Zach Murphy is right there ready to pounce as well. Brilliant crossover move out of two by Chase Swank. Craig tries to shut the door, but Swank is there on the inside lane. Contact down the front straightaway. Chase Swank to the bottom. Going to take the third spot back from Peyton Craig. Not going to let the crossover happen to him. Zach Murphy pokes his nose into the hornet's nest here as well. All for those final three spots in the top five. Oh, and contact. Chase Swank in the 45 goes around on the outside lane. And that one was brewing for a couple laps. Swank and Peyton Craig battling for that third position. This is down into one. Looks like the 78 just got on the right rear of Chase Swank and immediately up the racetrack. Hard hit to the left side. The damage isn't too severe, but I can imagine that car is not going to drive quite the same. One more look at it here as they go through turns 1 and 2. Yeah, just got on his right rear and didn't really allow Chase Swank any opportunity to come back up the racetrack off the corner. And I think as soon as Swank did come up off the bottom, he instantly got hooked straight to the top, and that was pretty much all she wrote. So fifth caution flag here this evening. We've surpassed the amount of caution flags in heat race number 1 earlier. So white flag back out. We'll send them back green. We are past the halfway point now. Just past halfway. So Brandon Atkinson and Brandon Elvis, your top two. Pretty much coastal performance, all of your top 4. We'll send them green this time by. And Brandon Atkinson, your race leader, good jump in the 15. Zach Murphy going to try to get up to the second spot. And Brandon Elvis tucks in line in third. Good start from Larson Parker in the number 18. He's up to the 4th spot. And down the back straightaway here, Atkinson, your race leader. Ooh, a little bump to Chris Smith in the number 80 from Michael Weissman, I think that was. Weissman underneath for the 7th spot. Chris Smith not able to get down on that restart. Finally back down behind the 74 of Weissman. Adam Fulford gets around William Sapala for the 9th spot on the racetrack. But up front, Brandon Atkinson leads by just about half a second over Zach Murphy and Brandon Elvis. Elvis in the 70 runs third. For the 4th spot, Alex Hallinar under Larson Parker in the 18. '57 down to the bottom. Justin Coleman trying to get underneath the 18 of Larson Parker. Put his number 14 in the top 5. Slides up the racetrack a little bit. Coleman down to the inside. You can see as soon as two drivers get side by side, the separation the car in front's able to get makes such a difference when you're not able to drive all the way out to the wall and get the wide arc into the corner. Coleman finally that time able to get by Larson Parker, move Justin Coleman up into the top 5, and now Michael Weissman will set his sights on the 18. Chris Smith trying to come back forward underneath Weissman for the 6th position, or sorry, underneath Parker for the 7th position rather. But out front, Brandon Atkinson setting a great pace. Murphy not able to track him down at this moment. Parker still not able to get down to the bottom. Jacob Phillips way up the racetrack back behind in the 56. And how about this? Your points leader, the 2-time winner this season, Kyle Terzak, creeping up to the back bumper of Larson Parker and William Sapala. Trying to work his way back to the top 10. Parker now back to the 10th position, finally able to get in line, but for how long? That's the question. To the inside goes Kyle Terzak. Terzak going to take the 10th spot away. Peyton Craig going to go by as well. We've seen a lot of that this race. When one car passes, so does another. Really never one position lost at a time, especially on the restarts. It's very tough to time getting back into line when everybody is so closely stacked up. Up in front, that's William Sapala to the inside of Adam Fulford. Fulford in the 71 machine, trying to work his way back forward. Started inside of the front 3 rows. Right now running in the 9th spot. Paula to the inside of Smith. He's working his way forward in that white number 48 machine. He scored as the 1 on the left side of your screen. You can see that white 48 moving on the bottom lane. He's got some time to make up to your race leaders, but still just under 40 laps to go. Still some time left, but it is running out if you're someone who's outside of the top 5. Like the 48 right here. Up front for the 2nd spot, Zach Murphy is being tracked down by both Brandon Elvis and Alex Hallinar in the 57. 57, first start this season, trying to make a good first impression. Runs in the 4th spot, and he is all over the back bumper of Brandon Elvis. Justin Coleman right there as well in the 14. Coleman's starting to get something figured out. As here comes Alex Hallinar to the inside of Brandon Elvis. Elvis up the racetrack, not able to hold on. And now Justin Coleman also able to go right on by as the 57 gets by Brandon Elvis. So Coleman just trying to use some of those passes as a pick. To just have a little bit more tire at the end. That time around, fastest car in the top 5 was Justin Coleman, followed just barely by Alex Hallinar and Brandon Atkinson. But no doubt about it, the car in 3rd, the car in 4th are going to catch up to this 29 of Zach Murphy. And they'll have some clean air out front to try and track down your race leader, Brandon Atkinson, who currently leads by just under 1.5 seconds. We will see 30 laps to go for the 15 of Brandon Atkinson. 80 laps, or 88 laps in, 98 laps in. 30 to go. Now here comes the 15 or 57 right there on the back bumper of Zach Murphy. Can he make that pass? Coleman in the 14 starting to lose just a little bit of ground. And now here comes a big lunge to the inside, the 57 of Alex Hallinar underneath Zach Murphy. Murphy in the 29 going to try to get back down in line as quickly as he can, right down in front of Justin Coleman. And now Coleman going to have to try to separately pass this number 29. Out front, Brandon Atkinson picking up the pace just a little bit. His gap to 1.9 seconds as we come back to 26 to go that time. Now this is going to be the real deciding factor. Now that Hallinar has that clean air in the 57, can he track down your race leader, Brandon Atkinson? That time by Hallinar was a 10th quicker. Look at the last time by what time they went. You can see right there just about a 10th quicker. That time Atkinson about a quarter of a 10th quicker. So very close through the field, as you can see. Hallinar once again that time a little bit faster. I'd keep an eye on this 14 of Justin Coleman too. He's working his way forward. And I don't know if there's enough time for him to get there under green, but if we see a caution, we'll have to keep an eye on that 14 for sure. He's got a lot of speed left in this one as Zach Murphy in the 29 loose up in front of him. Gives him the inside lane there through turns 1 and 2. Doesn't want to hold him up too much as he does get by. We'll look back at that gap for the top spot. It's shrunk a little bit. Now 1.4 on the left side of your screen. Alex Hallinar trying to reel in Brandon Atkinson. We're watching Michael Weissman and Brandon Elvis battle for the 6th spot on the racetrack. Weissman down low. Elvis on the top side. They're bringing Kyle Terzak closer to him in the 15. And Elvis going to get back down to the bottom. Terzak going to have to try and pass here. 70 of Elvis not having the best handling race car at this current moment with 17 laps to go. Kyle Terzak through turns 3 and 4. Look to the inside. Isn't quite going to be able to get there through turns 1 and 2 that time. Elvis is loose in the 70. And Elvis all kinds of sideways. Has to gather it up out of 4. Something amiss in that car, certainly. But with 15 laps to go, look at the gap to your race leader. There's Brandon Atkinson, and there is Alex Hallinar. He is tracking him down. The lap times that last time pretty even, but the gap now down to 1.2 up out of turn number 4, make it 1.1 across the stripe. Hallinar trying everything he can to try to track down Brandon Atkinson, but we've got 12 laps to go. Time is running out. He's going to have to really make some big swings here and take some time out of that race lead. $11 laps to go. Atkinson that time just a little bit quicker, but the gap remains at that 1.1 margin. This time by 10 laps to go. Final 10 laps here in the 3rd race of the season for the Trackmasters Sim Series. The defending champions race. 128 laps. We've got 9 of them left. Brandon Atkinson continues to hold the lead. He is pulling away from Alex Hallinar just a little bit now. That time by picked up a little bit more time over Alex Hallinar. I think Hallinar may be starting to run out of steam with 7 laps to go. This is Chris Shepard to the inside of Chase Swank, and we've got a car around on the front straightaway. That's Larson Parker. Parker gets it spun back around, and they'll keep it going. I think they might have snuck it by the admin team there. Atkinson holds the race lead, and this time by high 5 up in the air. 5 laps remain for Brandon Atkinson. Can he hang on? I think unless a caution flag comes out, Atkinson may be able to set the Cruise to victory. He's starting to open up that gap now. Back behind for 3rd, Justin Coleman has gotten around Zach Murphy, but Murphy trying to get him back. Here comes William Sapala to the inside, and around goes Zach Murphy in the 29, and that will bring out the caution flag. Up out of turn number 4. I think that car just may have gotten a little bit too squirrely on him. We mentioned how only having one set of tires is going to affect the race car. And let's see what happened to the 29 of Murphy up off of 4. Looked like kind of bobbled right there and then tagged. And then up off the corner, I think just in reaction to all of that, came back around. So Zach Murphy in the 29 going for a spin. That puts us under caution inside of 5 laps to go. It'll be a green-white checkered. Brandon Atkinson going to have to defend from Alex Hallinar and Justin Coleman. He had a 1.1 second advantage at the line, and it is now gone. I'm curious to see how this restart goes. If Hallinar can get a good launch on that outside lane, he may have a shot at it, but don't count out that 14 of Justin Coleman either. He's going to be hungry for a Trackmaster Sim Series victory. He's got 3 of them. Most recently in Season 4 at Southern National. The green flag getting ready to come back out here. 2 final laps. Brandon Atkinson and Alex Hallinar through the restart zone, and we're back underway. 2 to go. Down through the first set of corners. Good launch from Brandon Atkinson. Justin Coleman gets up to the 2nd spot. Does he have anything left in the tank for Justin Coleman as they come out of turn number 4? Hallinar spins back behind. A bunch of cars wrecking across to the white. Down the back straightaway, final time. Peyton Craig gets underneath Kyle Terzak. Going to take that 3rd spot away. Can Craig cross him over at the line? It's going to be Brandon Atkinson picking up the victory. Justin Coleman 2nd, Peyton Craig 3rd, Kyle Terzak 4th, and Michael Weissman rounds out your top 5 finishers. We will grab a word from our top 3 when we return. But Brandon Atkinson picks up the victory, and Atkinson going to burn it down on the front straightaway. His 2nd career Trackmaster Sim Series victory, and it comes right here at Langley. We'll be back in just one moment with a word from our top 3 finishers to wrap things up.
KG Media is your home for all things photography, race day social.
All right, folks, we're back here on the WD Broadcasting Network here with our winner. Started in the 6th spot after everything was all said and done, after the invert. Drove it back up to the top spot. Tell me about your race, Brandon.
Well, it was a great race. Besides the cautions and stuff, I really hated to see that that last one, but luckily we were able to hold it off there. My right front was kind of giving up. But when we got in that early race situation, I knew something crazy was going to happen. I mean, I was just trying to ride in fifth.
Yeah, you knew that was going to happen at some point. It was kind of brewing for a little while, and you kind of just had to use your head, pilot the right lanes when the chaos did happen, and luckily you were able to keep the 15 fairly clean and end up in victory lane. What did you think when you saw, first off, when you saw Larson Parker sitting backwards on the front stretch, and then when you saw that final caution flag, did you think, oh, this might be it, or did you think were you confident in your restart capabilities? Oh, and I actually think I'm talking to nobody. I'm not sure what happened to Brandon Atkinson there. But he is no longer in my broadcast booth, so maybe some connection issues. There we go. Try and get Atkinson back. VA, you got a copy? Not entirely sure what the dealio is. All right, we're going to try to talk to our second place finisher here, Justin Coleman. See if we couldn't get him up into the booth. Second place finisher, Justin Coleman, P2 here this evening. It was a rough waters out there. You drove it up from 12th, though. Ended up P2 when it was all said and done.
So,
yeah, your work was cut out for you all night long.
Dude, I need a bottle of water and a cigarette or something. my ass is cooked. But no, man, that other than all the cautions and stuff, man, that was good. I had to give it to old Elvis. He had this thing hooked up tonight.
Yeah, it looked like you guys were like able to drive off of the corner better than anybody else. Looked like you had a little bit more drive through the center and able to get underneath people, and you were making those passes and ended up P2. That final restart, did you think you were going to be able to get a good jump? Did you and BA have something planned out, or were you just kind of hoping the car in second was sleeping?
There was a little communication, you know. Me and BA are good friends, so there was a slight communication there. So I had a little bit of a heads up, but man, I wished I had about 2 or 3 more laps. I felt like once the tires cooled off, man, I felt like I could take a run at him, and them green white checkers go quick.
Yeah,
and I wasn't going to move him.
Yeah, you can't move BA, especially if you guys are in the same Discord together.
Yeah, we can't be moving friends like that. But hey, I'll take P2 all day long.
Yeah, for sure. P2, good run. Glad to see you have a good run in the Trackmaster Sim Series. Who do you have to thank for podium?
Man, I got to thank you for broadcasting. I always like going back and watching the races, whether I have good races or bad races. But thank you. You do a great job. Thank everybody at TMSS for trying their hardest to put this thing on. Got some bugs to work out, but they're trying. They're putting in the work. Thank Brandon Elvis at Coastal Performance. Man, he had this thing hooked up. I mean, this thing was on a rail. Thank all my sponsors, Coastal Performance, Coleman Design, BH Homes Construction, Gibbs Brothers Construction, Parker Brothers Window Tinting, Barry Ellis Fabrication and Performance, Trick Chassis. Man, I don't do these very often anymore, so anybody else that's on the car, I appreciate everybody. And that'll do it.
All right, well, congratulations, Coleman, on a P2 finish here tonight. Hopefully we can see you get one spot better throughout this season.
Man, I hope so. We're digging. We're trying.
You're knocking on the door. You're getting close there, so hopefully it happens sometime soon.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
You too, man.
That was the Justin Coleman. P2 finisher here tonight. Let's try one more time to get a word from our winner here tonight. We'll see if I can get him up into the broadcast booth. Brandon Atkinson, BA, you got a copy now?
Yes, sir, WD. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
No worries. I just realized I was all the way through my question before I realized I was no longer talking to any other individuals. So this race here tonight, when you saw Larson Parker in those final 5 laps sitting on the front stretch backwards, and then that caution, what did you think? Did you think were you confident in your restart capabilities, or were you a little nervous?
I was nervous. I was nervous because I saw the guy behind me, I believe Alex, catching me a little bit. But he seemed to stall out right at about like 1.2, 1.3 seconds. So I was just planning on hoping to get a good start there, and him and Coleman be side by side racing. And like I said, my right front felt like it was starting to give up there, so I was on borrowed time anyway. I wanted to get that thing finished up. And luckily we got the restart we wanted to, and I believe me and Coleman got a 1-2 finish there, which is awesome. I'm rocking the Coleman Designs paint schemes, and he always does a killer job, so I'm glad he got a good run.
Yeah, we just got done talking to Coleman. You two had a little communication on that restart, helped you guys get lined up, and he said you can't be moving teammates, can't be moving friends like that, so you got lucky with who was behind you here tonight. Didn't have to worry about that final send into the final corner, but good win for you here, Brandon Atkinson. You were second in the Trackmaster Sim Series. Who else do you have to thank for Checkered Flag?
Just thanks all the boys at Trick Chassis. Thanks to John and Christian and Hudson and Tim and everybody. We've had a pretty good season here and been coming with good setups, so glad we were able to finally get one for the team. Thank you, WD, for broadcast, and thanks all the guys for showing up and racing, and we'll hope you see y'all again next time.
All right, congratulations on your second career Trackmaster Sim Series victory, BA, and hopefully you can have some good runs in the sprint cars and street stocks next week.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it, WD.
Yep. All right, your winner here tonight after some technical difficulties, Brandon Atkinson. Now we'll talk to our third place finisher, Peyton Craig. Third place finish. You and Terzak had a finish at the line there. It was a photo finish for third, but you ended up getting it at the stripe. Tell me about your race.
Yeah, it was a very eventful and pretty bad racecraft race out of everyone, but I ended up being in the right place, right time, and was able to get under Terzak out of 2, and he just drove through my back bumper in 3, but kept in the gas and came out for a P3.
Yeah, you mentioned it was not the best race as far as racecraft goes. How does it feel to, even though it wasn't the best race, how does it feel to still get a podium? Does that kind of feel like a relief, or is there still some frustration there?
Feels like a relief because I've had the car to even win it, or at least top 3 every week now, and I just been getting caught up and stuff. To be able to drive from the back 3 times and get a podium, it feels great. The setups were great. They're built by Fraser Wilshot at RWP, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely had the 78 machine on a roll. You mentioned drove from the back a couple times. You got to thank Fraser with the setup. Who else do you have to thank? You got the 78 onto the podium and into the 3rd spot.
I just got to thank my mom and dad, and everyone's been helping me out, and yeah, Perry Davenport for this awesome wrap. That wrap definitely gives me a couple horsepower. And yeah, and you for streaming, by the way.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun with the Trackmaster Sim Series. We didn't have the best run here tonight, but I'm sure we'll get it shaped back around and have some more fun racing here in the future. But congratulations to you, Peyton, on P3 here tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, those were your top 3 finishers. We'll wrap up the rest of our finishing results with Kyle Terzak driving it back up to 4th. Michael Weissman comes home 5th. Chase Swank 6th. Brandon Elvis 7th. Chris Shepard 8th. William Sapala 9th. Hudson Geiger rounds out the top 10. Tom Tom Dean 11th, Tim Dayton 12th, Adam Fulford 13th, Alex Hallinar 14th, Larson Parker 15th, Zach Murphy 16th, Chris Smith 17th, Carter Hollingsworth 18th, Jacob Phillips 19th, Aaron Johnson rounds out your top 20 finishers. Braden Donaldson 21st, Brian Gravel 22nd, Dylan Delaney 23rd, and Landon Farmer rounds out your 24 cars that took the green. So thank you guys for watching another episode of the Trackmasters Sim Series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed despite the cautions that were present, but hopefully next week, like we said, we can have a little bit better run for these guys, put on some better racing. But thank you guys for tuning in. I am your host, Winston Deal from the WD Broadcasting Network. We'll see you guys at Winchester Speedway on Sunday for the Trackmaster, for the YourBigPlans.com 500 Sprint Car Tour, and then Monday night for the Sprint Car Tour Sim Series, and then Tuesday for the Leave the Pack Showdown before we come back with the Trackmasters on Thursday. So that's your week from here on out with the WD Broadcasting Network. We'll see you guys back next time. Hit that red subscribe button for more. I'm your host, WD, signing it off. Peace out.